Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2014 NFL team preview for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to take a look at their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams. So let's start on the offensive side of the football with the quarterback position.
The Steelers have been set at the quarterback position since 2004 with Ben Roethlisberger. Last year, Big Ben played good, efficient football, throwing for over 4,200 yards, completing 64% of his passes with a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. What you like to see is him get back to attacking more vertically downfield. But I believe as some of his young targets continue to grow and become more familiar with offensive coordinator Todd Haley's scheme, it'll start to happen more often this year. Backing him up is longtime vet Bruce Gronkowski, who will compete with last year's fourth-round pick Landry Jones. Gronkowski is the better option and gives them the best chance to win if Big Ben has to miss some time. In the backfield, the Steelers have a good bit of diversity. Le'Veon Bell is a big back with very good feet who's looking to build on the success he had as a rookie late in the season. In free agency, they brought in LeGarrette Blount from the New England Patriots, who's a physical runner with above-average acceleration who routinely rips off long runs. And in the third round of this year's draft, they selected Dre Archer out of Kent State, who has Eric Metcalf-like ability. The one attribute that all three guys have in common is their ability to catch the football out of the backfield. And with the improvements up front mainly being at 100%, look for the Steelers' 27th ranked rushing attack to improve. With what the three backs bring to the table, look for more flexibility in formation and personnel in trying to get two, sometimes all three guys on the field at the same time. This is one area of the offense where they have to elevate their game. Pittsburgh has one bona fide star in Antonio Brown, whose quickness off the ball and his ability to accelerate while changing direction and not losing speed makes him very tough to defend. Everywhere else, there's questions. They drafted Marcus Wheaton last year in the third round, and now that he's 100% healthy, he'll get more opportunities on the field. So look for him to solidify that number 2 spot and showcase the talent that we saw from him at Oregon State. I think he'll have a breakout season. The third receiver spot is where it gets a little murky. There's 5 guys: veteran Lance Moore from the New Orleans Saints, Darius Haywood-Bay from the Indianapolis Colts, second-year player Justin Brown, and rookie Martavis Bryant out of Clemson. The only dependable guy would be Lance Moore, who at this point in his career is more Jericho Cotchery than Emmanuel Sanders, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. In my opinion, both Haywood-Bay and Bryant have inconsistent hands, which could limit their playing time and effectiveness. But to Bryant's credit, if the Orange Bowl Bryant is the one that we see from here on out, then all is good at wide receiver. If not, then it will be a continuous question throughout the course of the season. At tight end, the Steelers have one of the most underappreciated stars in Heath Miller, who plays the position exactly how you want. He blocks well in the running game and also has solid receiving skills. The number 2 tight end is Matt Spate, who's also a very good blocker, but keep an eye on rookie 7th round pick Rob Branchflower out of UMass, who's in the mold of Miller with his ability to both block and catch. He's a little bit more athletic, and because of his skills, it wouldn't surprise me to see Pittsburgh use more double tight end sets until a viable and consistent third option emerges in the passing game. What was once a weakness is now a quiet strength for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm a big fan of their offensive line. Perennial All-Pro Marquise Pouncey returns from injury to continue to be the anchor at center. The guard position has become a wealth of talent and depth, with third-year player David DeCastro, who will probably push for a Pro Bowl bid this year, and Ramon Foster, who does a very good job on both ends of offense. Behind them, there's promise with 3 rookies: Wesley Johnson out of Vanderbilt, Will Simmons out of East Carolina, and Chris Elkins out of Youngstown State. Both Elkins and Johnson can play multiple positions, while Simmons excelled in an offensive system similar to Pittsburgh at East Carolina. At tackle, Calvin Beachum got better every game on the left side, and 2 solid options at right tackle with Marcus Gilbert and also Mike Adams. Both are young players that have taken the proper progressions you expect to see from guys year over year. They also signed Guy Wimper in free agency to provide that swing depth on the outside, while Cody Wallace, the center, played well when called upon last season. This is, in my opinion, the best and deepest offensive line the Steelers have had in years. This was another position that was in transition, and in my opinion, they are much more improved as a result. Former first-round pick Cameron Hayward put together his best season as a pro, being in on 35 tackles and 5 sacks, which were second on the team. Look for him to build on that this season. In the second round of the draft, the Steelers added Stephon Tuitt out of Notre Dame to man the other defensive end spot, and at 6'5", 303 pounds, Tuitt is the ideal 5-tech and fits perfectly into what Dick LeBeau asked his ends to do, which is play the run on the way to the quarterback. At the nose spot is Steve McClendon, who wins with quickness instead of gap clogging. He played well last year. And in free agency, Cam Thomas comes over from the San Diego Chargers, and he's a versatile player, enough of a versatile player to play in or tackle. And I would also keep an eye on 2 young players, Nick Williams, who was drafted last year out of Samford, but missed all of last season due to injury, and 6th-round pick Daniel McCullers out of Tennessee, a mammoth nose tackle who's only in his 6th year of football and will finally get the consistent coaching that'll help him reach his full potential. I also believe undrafted rookie free agent Josh Morrow out of Stanford has a chance to stick because of how he plays with great length and leverage. The lifeblood of any 3-4 defense is the effectiveness of their linebacking core, and while the Steelers don't lack the talent, the consistency is what they need to happen in 2014. The starting lineup consists of 3 first-round picks and 1 second-rounder. It's time for these guys to make an impact as a unit. 2 guys have clearly made their impact. That's outside linebacker Jason Worlds, who led the team in sacks last year with 8, and inside linebacker Lawrence Timmons, who was first on the team in tackles last season with 155. The questions are the 2 younger players in second-year man Jarvis Jones and rookie Ryan Shazier. Jones had flashes of what we saw him do at Georgia. He was known for getting after the quarterback, but only had 1 sack last year. His second year in the system could yield better results. Shazier, in my opinion, is more of an athlete than a football player, but it's that athleticism, that athletic part, his speed and his acceleration that the Steelers are banking on to lead to more TFLs and quarterback pressures. The good part is that Dick LeBeau will keep it simple for him as a rookie to allow his football skills to catch up with his athleticism. Depth is a bit of a question here. Inside linebacker Vince Williams started some games last year, and he figures to compete with Shazier. Sean Spence is probably the most talented, but has been snake bitten by injuries. Arthur Moats comes over from the Buffalo Bills to help out on the outside, but one guy, in my opinion, that could make a surprise impact is undrafted rookie free agent Howard Jones out of Shepherd. At 6'2", 235, Jones plays bigger than his size without losing his speed and acceleration to the quarterback. It wouldn't surprise me to see him log playing time as a rookie this year for Pittsburgh. Much more production is needed out of the secondary, and by production I mean generating turnovers. On the current roster, 6 out of the 10 interceptions were made by defensive backs. That has to get better. However, yardage and efficiency wise, they weren't that bad. Cornerback Ike Taylor is entering his 12th season as the Pittsburgh Steeler, and while last year wasn't his best, he's still a quality football player. Cortez Allen did an admirable job last year, and the hope is that he continues to trend in the right direction. Steady veteran William Gay was solid in the slot, and keep an eye on rookie Shaq Richardson out of Arizona, who was misused in college. His press skills and his ball skills actually fit perfectly in Pittsburgh, and he'll probably be a better pro than he was a collegiate. I'd also look out for Antoine Blake to be in the mix for increased minutes. At safety, you have future Hall of Famer Troy Polamalu, who will get back to playing more of a strong safety role as opposed to a rover, which should allow him to make more plays. Second-year player Shamarko Thomas will probably become more involved in the defense. Again, he's a second-year guy in the system, plus they're expecting him to eventually take over for Polamalu. The Steelers brought in free safety Mike Mitchell from the Carolina Panthers to provide the range to make plays deep downfield. Mitchell excelled in that capacity for Carolina. And I'd also look out for Jordan Dangerfield, who plays the alley very well and could also be in the mix to be that prime backup at free safety. Sean Sweetson was excellent last year, as he's been over the last 2 seasons, only missing 2 field goal attempts. That's the consistency that you want out of your kicking game. The punting game can't say the same thing. The hope is that Adam Podolech, who was signed in free agency, can help stabilize a position that's been a revolving door over the last 3 seasons. The kickoff return duties could potentially be in good hands with Dree Archer, the 4'2", 40 speedster out of Kent State. Punt returner is a different question. While Antonio Brown is great, do you really want to risk him returning punts back there? Maybe Lance Moore or cornerback Bryce McCain can take some of the pressure or some of the load off of Brown, which would then allow Pittsburgh to only use him in critical situations. The reason for optimism for Pittsburgh, number one, continuity is king, and this is the best the offensive line has been in a while, and they weren't that bad of a team last year, narrowly missing the playoffs, and most importantly, they're 100% healthy. The cause for concern for me is the receiving core outside of Brown and Wheaton. There's legit question marks there, and can the youngsters at linebacker elevate their game to another level? That's the only cause for concern I see about Pittsburgh entering the 2014 season. The road to the Super Bowl goes as follows. Number one, the running game has to improve. Remember, they were the 27th ranked rushing attack last year. If they can get into the top 10 and be a dominant running team operating off play action, they're going to be very tough to beat. And Pittsburgh has to go back to being Blitzburgh. Like I said before, that second level of that defense has to become ready to go from day one. Those young guys have to step up and make those plays consistently to try to force those turnovers. And third, they have to tie up loose ends. Again, they lost a lot of close games last year. Oakland, Minnesota, the Miami game, the second Baltimore game. If they can tie up loose ends, they can find themselves winning the division and making some serious noise in the playoffs. I have the Steelers finishing third in the AFC North. Very tough division this year. I still have some questions about their receiving core and about the second level of their defense with the linebackers. Those young guys have to step up and be a consistent threat throughout the course of the season. And the running game, again, we know they can run the football. They have the talent back there, but is that something that Todd Haley wants to do? We know he likes to pass. And if they can't get their running game going and not make themselves one-dimensional, it's going to be a long year for Pittsburgh. But I do see these guys coming close to what happened last year, 8, maybe even 9 wins. But this is such a tough division that I had them finishing third. And don't forget to order your copy of Football Game Plan's latest book, Stiff Arming Football Myths, an excellent book that you can find on our website at footballgameplan.com/books, available in both PDF as well as paperback form. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Pittsburgh Steelers fan forums for always showing Football Game Plan support.